All
Who do we really work for, bro? Come on.
Yeah, that's right.
right.
Fucking
Adam
yeah,
is the kingpin.
the
I
Matrix.
All
fucking
right.
knew it.
So did
How
you
the
get a
fucking
content is of this meeting is being sent to a third party?
yeah, got it.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Well, hello. So hold up. This is your
There
screen
you go.
that we're sharing, but this is not okay. So the YouTube, yeah,
Yeah. So the
Zoom,
YouTube
YouTube.
is the School of Alchemy. So if you go to www.youtube.com at School of Alchemy, I'm going to put it in the chat right now so you can take a direct
Oh yeah,
link.
it's
Hang on.
yeah. There's another. Some other school. Study with
Yeah, I,
study with hidden masters. It says.
yeah, I noticed that there is School of Alchemy, there's Alchemy U, there's Alchemy. So I was a bit annoyed. I was like, I really want to yeah, I really wanted all of those, but the School of Alchemy is available. So here we are.
Okay.
Anyways, so this is all being live streamed right now, by the way, in case you weren't aware. But
Yeah.
okay, so we were just
Good.
discussing how on board we all have to be with certain of each other's beliefs, right?
Or
And
if
I
we're not on
think
board, we just discuss it.
exactly, exactly. We are intensely in favor of free speech. We are happy, like, if you want to put a lot of things in terms of God and Jesus and whatever, man, I fully support that. Like, I guess I would describe myself to a large degree as Christian anyway, right? Am I observant in the sense that I like go to church, etc.? No, but I take a lot of my cues from the Christ consciousness. And that is what truly a Christian should be, right? So I completely endorse if that's one of the main concerns, like how much can you profess your faith in here? Man, I'm fully on board.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yes, it's I know it's a deep dive, and I know not everybody lives with that, I guess, consciously in mind, even if they subliminally follow, the higher source, higher reasoning inside of themselves. I just want to bring it to surface, have the conversation, use the language. I think that's half the game, because if you don't use the language, then you're not going to be able to access the source in the end. And I think you had a conversation with a friend of ours, Regan, Alex, recently about how to lead the self or God to be led, right?
Hmm.
The saving of thyself, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And how that occurs, which is a fascinating conversation. Like, I still had a robust conversation with a friend after that as well, and just what that means, right? So it's like, and the conversation we had last week, Raphael, it's like, do you believe you have free will?
Hmm.
Not everybody says yes. Um, I I say strongly yes, that the soul has been given the faculties of free will. But it's ironic. I see it as the more intelligent will. So I have a will, yet it's still subject to God's will. But that's my choice, whether I listen to God's will or not.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
exactly. I
the
think that is correct. Is that I think at the simplest way to put it is you have no choice but to have free will, right?
yeah,
Because people want to
yeah.
argue, you want to argue for a determinism. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you want determinism, here's your determinism. The only choice you
Mm-hmm.
have is to make your own choices, right? Okay, but
And
then the
that's
other side of that is the Christian perspective is that God has given us free will. That is his gift to us. And so when you ask questions like, why is there suffering? Why do you allow X, Y, Z to happen? Why do you allow evil people to exploit others? The answer is that it's our choice. It's our choice to do these things. And so we have the will, we have the freedom to disobey, right? But then ultimately, the path back to paradise is to surrender ourselves, to align ourselves with the ultimate will. I mean, the Lord's Prayer, right? Thy will be done. Thy will be done, not
mm-hmm.
mine, right? And so as we go further into egoic will, that's where suffering comes from. That's where we destroy ourselves, we destroy each other, we destroy the planet, etc. And the more we align ourselves with nature, natural law, God, whatever you want to call it, live through the Christ consciousness, it seems like we're surrendering our free will, but it's like we're actually choosing to align ourselves. We have to choose to align ourselves with the ultimate will. And when we make that choice, things go in flow. So it is a paradox.
And
It's a beautiful paradox.
Yeah, it is a paradox. Yeah.
and that's the, I guess, the choice, and as the alchemical sense of as above, so below, right? I see it time and time again. If you are the father or the mother and you have a child that, has their own will, you want to do as minimal as possible to hinder their free choices, because consequence is so critical to their learning. They need to make,
Correct.
they need to make errors in their life to know what it means. But also, as a parent, you're there to guide and give wisdom and try to educate through examples. And I think, the Great Father does the same thing, just constantly, go for it, buddy, fall, trip, smack your face a little bit. Just know concrete is tough. Just so you know, concrete is tough, You hurt
Right.
somebody here, the lessons come full circle back. So one of my favorite principles.
Yeah, you can try to tell a child that the concrete is tough, but how are they going to learn it?
Mm-hmm.
Scraping their knee, falling over. Right. And we're in exactly
Yeah,
the
this
same
was like the
predicament.
only that was the only, not downfall, but I wish that when I was working in childcare, that the outdoor playground water was all tank water. Because then it's so hard to teach children about water scarcity, right? Especially in this country, especially when the tap keeps running. But nothing more concrete than the water if it was to genuinely run out. And if children understood that the tank has to fill up before it, because that was a tough lesson that we were trying to get across to children, to save water, but I could tell it was still a hard concept to understand, because there's no concrete evidence that the water's running out,
Yeah. Yeah. It's important.
which, funnily enough, is going to be our subject of conversation today. And the hero's journey is going to be the prepared environment, which Maria Montessori talks about a lot. And I was listening to on Atomic Habits as well. Even in, what was it? Bruce Lipton's book, The Epigenetics, The Biology of Belief.
Yeah, love
Same
that.
thing.
Love that book.
Yeah, power of environment and how that
Yeah.
shapes us. So that's going to be soon at 12:30 in the School of Alchemy. We're going to be talking about a little bit of that, diving into it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, it should be sweet.
All right. So I think the structure of the conversation will be what we'll start with a welcome, start with wins, and
I'm going
then
to do
we'll
welcome to
deliver
country.
welcome to country.
Fuck no.
Welcome to the country of the internet,
Won't be,
where we honor and respect
won't be doing that.
the meme lords, the meme lords on 4chan that have come before us. Right. Internet culture is very spiritual.
the great
Right?
legacy, the great legacies.
The meme
Oh,
lords
man.
have had a connection to the internet long before any of us were here. They've shaped culture. They've shared memes. Indeed, they have shit posted about all
For
kinds.
such a long time. For great many
Yes.
eons. Yes, it's
Yes.
pretty funny living in the land of internet these days. But yeah, sorry, you were saying structuring the conversation.
Yeah. So we'll start with just a bit of a win. Do you have a set thing that you want to say, like a 5 or 10 minutes, or do you want to deliver some specific content, 15 to 20 minutes? How do you want to do it?
I have, well, obviously, we start the meeting with a quick meditation first in the hero's journey. And then I have a quote by Maria Montessori. And also, I have some resources from Atomic Habits that I'll share this week into the chat, just for a bit of reference. And yeah, just open up. So, talk about it first, what it means, what is a prepared environment, setting. We've talked about mindset a fair bit in the hero's journey at past, and how we can cultivate that through our habits, cultivate that through our disciplines. But now I think I'm moving into the setting side of things, the physical environment, and how we can shape that to cultivate. I like this quote that was said in Atomic Habits. It said, the well-disciplined person isn't the person that is always winning his battles. The well-disciplined person is the one that is spending minimal time in places where he is challenged, right? So minimizing the time
Sorry,
you are
minimal time in places where
in
he's
the places where, like, in where he is, I guess, being pulled into his vices, right? So spending less time at the bars, spending less time in front of a television, or removing the television from the room, or like removing obstacles that are going to lead to procrastination, and increasing because I think the second law of habit building was to make it visible. So whatever habit you want to grow,
Yeah.
make it visible, make it present. And the inverse of the second law of habit building was make it invisible. So everyone thinks these
Like make the
well-disciplined people are
vice invisible.
yeah, make the vice invisible. Don't have it in these areas. Don't put it in eye level, put it into the corner of the room or get someone to lock it up for you or get someone to change your social media password for you or do things so that the things you don't wish are more difficult and the things you wish to grow are much more in your face and in the current situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. I think this is a good topic for, well, I guess starting the new year, like we're end of January, so we want to be starting to think about how to optimize our space,
Yeah.
how to be more productive. And I think the cohort that we have in the School of Alchemy is evolving a little bit as well. We're leaning more heavily into people who are either business owners or starting a new business or entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's a natural extension of self-development, but it's also good to get back to the basics of self-development. And I think people forget just how powerful environment is.
Oh man.
And
It's
that's why when we start with like self-development, the starting place is making your bed,
mm-hmm.
cleaning your room, doing it regularly, right? Little
Yeah.
bits, little pieces, consistently over time. And then, if you make your bed every day, clean your room every day, actually it takes a shorter amount of time and half of it's already done by the time you do it the next time, which means the same amount of energy gets you a greater output, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that just keeps expanding over time to the point where if you get so good at these things, your bed's always made, your room's always clean, your environment is always prepared for you to take action, and you're building your energy, then naturally that starts spilling out into your larger environment. First, that's the kitchen and the living room, and then the rest of the house, the outside of the house, the gardens. And then all of a sudden, that's your interactions with people, your physical appearance, of course, is part of that. And then business building becomes a natural element, right? Financial
Mm-hmm.
relationships, because I think, and especially in this new world where personal brands are kind of the thing, because like we've kind of fractionated society to such a point where people don't really trust institutions anymore, and for good reason. People trust people. Like if you look on social media, for instance, you look at Apple versus Tim Cook and their follow account. Like Tim Cook has way more people than Apple, even though Apple is $1 trillion company. Tim Cook, being the person who's the figurehead of Apple, has more followers, right? Because people
Mm.
follow people. I think
Fascinating.
that's a general and fascinating truth about where we're heading into this new world, and that is it's about persons, personal brands, integrity of the individual, right? And then that starts all the way back at making your bed, cleaning your room, and preparing your environment for success, right?
Mm.
And natural the natural transition is out of employment in some big faceless company, realizing that you have efficacy for yourself. And so as you're developing yourself, you're also becoming an independent individual who can earn money and who can keep scaling that up. So I think the
Yeah.
prepared environment started January 2024. It's fucking
Well,
perfect.
yeah, it's also, I think, a lot of part of our practices that we embody here is kind of an aesthetic practice, right? It's about minimizing vices, increasing good habits, and yes, that leads to self-discipline, but I think in the spiritual practices, like what was all that for, right? Like in the Buddhist practices, when they fast, they meditate long times, what was it for, right? And I feel I'm talking about spirit and God in the beginning of all this. It's like, and we're talking about people follow people, but that's also slightly a be careful of who you follow, right? Because who knows what they are
Say that last bit again.
saying. And this is, I think, my biggest message, in my whole life following. I was saying that biggest message, am I led by people or am I led by truly God and spirit? Do I have faith that it is of the highest of knowledge, that is the highest intelligence and has the greatest of plans? And, I subject myself to its will or submit to that will. right? So then we can, and this is my thing. I put it in the last couple of minutes before we get back into a meeting. For me, humanity is so scattered. And we talk about, and in Aboriginal culture, the dreaming was so critical, right? To bring them together. The dreaming is where they say they're united. And I think it's a cheesy line, but to humanity to have one dream, everyone's like, it's not possible. We're all different people. But I think it's not. I'm like, if we all believe that we're here in spirit, serving this great spirit, like we can still live our lives joyfully and with, great integrity, but we're still in that same dream. And when that starts happening, we start cultivating towards a very harmonious environment where we have a shared truth that we live by. Because I think, ironically, these corporations, and not just corporations, but entities and people that have created the infrastructure we live in now, for better or for worse, they had a very strong shared dream and they stood by that and they put everything in that. So it just shows the power of a shared dream. And I think humanity could also do that through God, through spirit. We can live in harmony with each other if we can recognize if.
And I think that is exactly the moment for humanity where we're at, is that I think we do have a bit of a shared dream, but it's quite a doom and gloom one, with like, it's very apocalyptic scenarios, right? I guess Elon Musk would be the only person that's really got a uniquely adventurous vision for humanity. Like, we're going to be a multiplanetary spacefaring civilization. All of the other main things that I guess were potential dreams for humanity either were fulfilled or we just kind of forgot about them, right? And now it's like it's all about climate change and population decline and war and immigration and like population replacement, diseases and pandemics, etc. It's like, well, they're dreams, yeah, they are, but they're just they're
The narratives.
self-defeating dreams. Yeah,
they're also sold to
a
us
dream is a
highly.
narrative. It's just, well, exactly, and I think this ties back into the self-development and entrepreneurial pathway, is that we as individuals are going to have to start really coming in contact with our own dream again, right? We've adopted dreams of corporations and of institutions, right?
Hollywood.
Of equity and diversity and fucking like effectively communist Marxist values that most individuals like, I guess have internalized. And then you've got like the climate change and these narratives that are doom and gloom for humanity, right? We have to impoverish ourselves so that we don't destroy the planet. Whereas very few narratives are about reaching for something amazing, extending beyond and becoming something amazing. Whereas, so what I think the School of Alchemy can do effectively is to help individuals start to dream again of what they want,
nice,
who they want to become, right? What they want to bring into the world, what kinds of positive changes they want to make in their own lives. And it's powerful, and it's something that we've lost as a culture and we've lost as individuals. Very few people actually have a very clear and active vision for their future. And I think that's the solution to our problem, honestly, as a collective, is to get in touch with the dream again.
Yeah. And because if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you, right? Correct. And this is my greatest faith in all of it, right? Is that people, like you said, why would God or spirit allow suffering, allow this, allow the damnation, allow the pain, allow this? And I'm like, only a God that probably is like, figure this shit out for yourself, buddies. You gotta sort some shit out. You're a highly intelligent species. You have the capacity to create and destroy on a level that we still don't even grasp. We think the atomic bomb is our limit, I think, in terms of destruction. But if we could turn that, and that is the power of our creation as well, on such a level, we have no idea what we're truly capable of. So
our imagination, our ability to imagine is limitless. It's infinite. You can't contain someone's imagination. And if we manifest even fractions of that, then we'll be infinitely better than what we are now. And I think with that ability to imagine as well, and our imagination, it gets knocked out of us and whatnot. And I think that, and the power of the mind is something we haven't grasped either yet. And I think there's a lot to
and that's where the School of Alchemy comes in, is where
it is, mate. It's got 100%. it's got such an important role to play. So good stuff.
All right. Great last words. Let's wrap that up. We're about to head into one of our members only, subscriber only meetings. So
if you wish to join, School of Alchemy, sign up.
That's right. This was an interesting and I think overall a successful first live stream. We'll decide in retrospect whether we keep this one, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Good stuff.
Thanks, mate.
It's only going to get better.
All right, let's wrap that one.